It was late autumn, the kind where the air cuts sharp and the nights feel longer. My son, Caleb, only 6 years old, had been running a fever all day. His skin was pale, his forehead damp, and he clung to me like the world was falling apart. I was 25, a single mother, and living back in my parents' house because every door outside had slammed shut on me. But home wasn't a refuge. It was another prison. That night, Caleb whimpered for water, his tiny voice hoarse. I carried him into the living room, where my parents sat watching TV, my mom with her wine glass and my dad nursing his usual bottle of beer. Please, I said softly. He needs rest. Can I bring him into my room? He's sick. Dad didn't even look up. He took a long swig, then muttered, That brat's already a burden. He takes after you. Weak. Mom smirked and turned her head, her eyes glittering with cruelty. Rest? He'll cry all night and keep us awake. Lock him somewhere he can't bother anyone. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. I froze, hugging Caleb tighter. He's a child, my child. He's burning up, he needs medicine, he needs... Enough! Dad's voice cracked across the room like a whip. He stood towering over me, snatching the remote and pointing it like a weapon. Either shut him up or I'll do it for you. Before I could react, Mom stood, walked past me, and swung the bathroom door wide. Put him in here. He can cry all he wants, and maybe he'll learn what it feels like to be trash, just like his mother. Her laugh was sharp, deliberate, designed to slice me open in front of everyone. Caleb's little arms squeezed my neck tighter, his body trembling. Mommy, don't, he whispered. I begged. I cried. I told them he was sick, that he might faint, that the bathroom was cold, but Dad's hand clamped on my shoulder, shoving me forward. Do what you're told. You're lucky we let you stay under this roof. One sound out of that boy tonight and both of you are gone. My tears blurred everything, but their faces were crystal clear. They weren't bluffing. They'd thrown me out before, pregnant and alone. They'd drag me to the curb again if I resisted. My son would suffer worse. So, I carried him into the bathroom, whispering promises into his ear, trying not to break in front of him. I set him gently on the folded towel I managed to lay out, his cheeks flushed, eyes wet. It's okay, baby, I told him. Mommy's here. I'll stay right here with you. But the door slammed shut, the lock clicking from the outside. Darkness swallowed us, the only sound Caleb's weak crying as he pressed against me, shivering in the damp air. From outside, my mom's voice floated through the door, cold and mocking. Let him cry, he's trash like you. And then the sound of her laughter, cruel and endless, as if my pain was a joke to share with the walls. I rocked him in my arms, whispering lullabies through my own sobs, listening to his breathing grow ragged, praying he would hold on until morning. Every minute dragged like an hour, the air thick, the bathroom a cage, and me powerless against the people who were supposed to be family. I didn't sleep, I didn't blink. I sat on that cold tile floor all night, his small body curled against mine, his breath hot against my chest, my heart breaking with every sound from his throat. And while they laughed outside, while they clinked glasses and mocked me as nothing, something in me hardened into stone. I realized then, if they saw my son as dirt, if they saw me as dirt, then dirt would be what destroyed them. The morning after that night felt like a wound that wouldn't close. Caleb's fever had broken only slightly, but his eyes were dull, his little voice hoarse from crying. I wiped his forehead with the hem of my shirt, whispering comfort, while the first rays of light cut across the bathroom tiles like prison bars. When my father finally unlocked the door, he didn't even look inside. He just tossed the keys onto the kitchen counter and barked, "Get breakfast ready, and keep the boy quiet." I scooped Caleb into my arms, his body limp but clinging to me, and carried him out. My mom was already at the table sipping her coffee like nothing had happened. She glanced at me and smirked. "See, he's still alive, all that crying for nothing. You act like he's made of gold, but he's just like you, worthless." Caleb buried his face in my shoulder, I wanted to scream, to flip the table, to drag them both outside and make them feel the cold tiles of that bathroom. But instead, I sat him down and poured him water. My silence was sharper than any word, and for a moment, even my father's laughter faltered. Tss, that day stretched long. They treated me like a maid, ordering me to scrub, cook, and serve while they bragged about Brianna, my golden sister, the daughter who could do no wrong. If only you'd been more like her, Dad muttered, shaking his head at me. No kid, no baggage, no whining, a diamond, not dirt. Mom chuckled. Instead, we got you, a mistake who produced another mistake. At least Brianna makes us proud. Every insult stabbed deeper, but something inside me had shifted. The humiliation from the mop, the laughter at my son's cries, the bathroom door slamming in my face. It had stopped wounding me and started fueling me. I wasn't breaking anymore. I was hardening. That night, when Caleb finally slept, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the mop leaning in the corner. The same mop my father had shoved at me on my birthday. The same one they thought defined me. And then my eyes drifted to the dirt in the corners of the room, the stains on the carpet, the crumbs on the table that nobody noticed because I always cleaned them before anyone else saw. That's when it clicked. Their pride wasn't in money or love, it was in appearances. They paraded Brianna like a jewel and kept the house spotless so neighbors would envy them. They needed the shine. They needed the perfection. Without it, they were nothing. And I realized something simple, something devastating. Dirt doesn't just hide. It spreads. And so would I. The next few days, I didn't fight them. I obeyed. I cooked, I scrubbed, I kept quiet. But my eyes were always watching, my mind always turning. I started to leave things undone. Not enough to notice immediately, but enough to grow. A streak left on the floor. A dish rinsed but not washed. A bag of garbage forgotten under the sink. "Did you mop the kitchen?" Mom snapped one morning, her nose wrinkling. "Yes," I answered calmly, even though the floor was sticky under her heels. She narrowed her eyes but said nothing. At dinner, one of Dad's friends stopped by, leaning against the counter. "Smells funny in here," he muttered. Dad's face tightened, embarrassed, and he shot me a glare. "Do your job!" I nodded. I smiled. I wiped the counter with a rag that only smeared the grease further. All the while, Caleb watched me with wide, questioning eyes. I hugged him close and whispered so only he could hear, "They think we're dirt. Let's see what happens when they have to live in it." By the end of the week, the house no longer gleamed. Dust gathered on shelves. Trash lingered too long. The smell of mildew crept into the corners. Mom panicked, scrubbing furiously herself, muttering about neighbors noticing. Dad shouted louder than usual, calling me lazy, threatening to kick me out. But the neighbors did notice. I overheard one at the fence whispering, "Strange, their place always looked so perfect. What happened?" Mom's face burned red when she caught it. That night, she stormed into my room. "You're sabotaging this house. You want us to look bad. But remember, dirt can be cleaned. You'll always be filth." Her words might have broken me once. Not anymore. I just looked at her, calm, steady, and said, "Then let's see who's laughing when the whole world sees what you really are." She froze, her mouth opening, then closing. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. When she left, I sat in the dark with Caleb sleeping beside me. My heart pounded, but my mind was sharp. I knew exactly what I had to do. They locked my son in a bathroom and called him trash. They made me dirt. Now I'd feed them the dirt they buried me in until they choked on it. And this time, I wouldn't stop. The night of my parents' humiliation came sooner than even I expected. They had invited neighbors, coworkers, and Brianna's friends for what they called a family celebration. My father bragged that it was to show off Brianna's new job, while Mom chirped that she wanted everyone to see her perfect daughter. I helped set the table, carried trays, and poured drinks, but I was calm, silent, steady. Caleb stayed near me, holding my hand tightly. His fever had gone down, but his little body was still weak. Every time my mother glanced at him, her lip curled. "Don't let him touch anything," she hissed. "No one wants germs from trash." The word trash, she said it so easily, like it was my name, like it was his name. When everyone arrived, the house buzzed with chatter. Candles glowed, wine glasses clinked, and Brianna twirled in her new dress, her diamond necklace glittering like she was royalty. Dad tapped his glass, standing tall at the head of the table. "To my daughter," he announced, "the pride of this family, the proof that we raised something worth shining." Mom clapped, guests cheered, and Brianna smirked at me across the table, her chin lifted. "Some of us were born for diamonds," she said loudly. "Some of us were born for mops." Laughter rolled across the room, but I didn't move. Instead, I stood, carrying the covered serving trays I had prepared myself. "Dinner is ready," I said evenly, setting them in the center of the table. The guests leaned forward eagerly as I lifted the lids. But instead of roasted meat, vegetables, and polished dishes, the air filled with something sour, rotting scraps, moldy bread, coffee grounds, eggshells. All the garbage I had collected quietly for days sat piled high on their shining plates. The room went silent. Then the whispers started. "What is this?" one neighbor gasped, pulling back. "Oh my God, is that trash?" Brianna's face drained of color. She jumped to her feet, necklace bouncing against her chest. "This isn't funny!" she shrieked. "Take it away, now!" But I didn't move. My hands stayed at my sides, calm, steady. "Why?" I asked loudly, my voice carrying across the table. "You said dirt is all I am. You said trash is all my son will ever be. Isn't this what you've been feeding us our whole lives? Now it's your turn to eat it." Gasps filled the room. Guests exchanged shocked glances, some covering their mouths, some stifling laughter at the spectacle. My father's face turned purple, veins bulging in his neck. "You ungrateful brat, you'll pay for this." He shoved his chair back so hard it toppled over. I stepped closer, my eyes locked on his. "No," I said coldly. "You'll pay for locking my son in a bathroom like an animal, for laughing while he cried, for calling him trash. You think you're untouchable? Look around. Everyone can see who you really are now." Mom scrambled toward the trays, gagging as the stench grew stronger. "Get this out of here. You're ruining us." But it was too late. The neighbors whispered louder. Brianna's friends pulled out their phones, snapping pictures, muffling their giggles. "Princess of trash," one muttered, just loud enough for her to hear. Brianna's hands shook as she clutched her necklace, her perfect smile cracking into panic. "Stop staring!" she screamed at the guests. "This isn't us!" I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that silenced the room. "No, Brianna, this is exactly you. Diamonds on your neck, dirt in your soul." My father lunged at me, but stopped short when Caleb, my little boy, coughed weakly behind me. I stepped between them, my eyes burning into his. "You heard him once. Try it again, and you'll find out what real trash feels like." The room froze. For the first time, Dad didn't have words. I turned, took Caleb's hand, and walked out. The night air hit my face like freedom. Behind me, the house that once sparkled with fake pride now stank of garbage, their perfect masks ripped off in front of everyone they wanted to impress. The fallout was swift. Within days, neighbors whispered about the trash feast. Mom's friends stopped visiting. Dad's coworkers avoided him. Brianna's reputation cracked wide open. Her so-called friends mocked her, calling her the girl who dined on dirt. And me? I didn't clean up their mess. I didn't fix their shine. I left them choking on the dirt they had shoved down my throat for years. Because they were right about one thing, dirt spreads. And now, it had swallowed them whole. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.